Hello and welcome to Moonstone Mountaineer. My name is Gina and I'm very excited to have you here. Today we'll be looking into Yosemite Village in Yosemite National Park. If you're not familiar with Yosemite, then just know that Yosemite Village is probably one of the first places that you want to visit. Centrally located and containing a considerable amount of visitor resources, Yosemite Village is the first place to get your bearing of Yosemite National Park. First and foremost, let's go over the parking situation. You'll want to park in the visitor parking area, which is located south of Yosemite Village, or if you're handicapped, you'll want to park next to the museum. The first thing that you'll most likely see when you enter the village is the village store. You can also park right in front of the village store, but keep in mind that it's 30-minute only parking, so only do this if you truly plan to just get groceries or souvenirs. The village store is a great place to find any souvenirs that you might need. It is the biggest souvenir shop in the entire valley. Plus, there's also a great selection of groceries. However, I will admit that it is some pretty crazy prices there at the village store. They know that they've got you over an hour away to the nearest grocery store outside of Yosemite, so they really take advantage of that. In front of the store, there is a bike stand where you can rent bikes for the day, and behind the store, there's a bunch of seating where you can eat the groceries that you just picked out, or if you brought your own snacks. And then right next to that, there is the Village Grill. I highly recommend the Village Grill. It is one of my favorite places to eat. It's sort of hidden behind the village store there. If you came in on a bus, there is a bus stop right behind the village store, so it is accessible from that bus. A lot of people don't realize that walking through the village store and getting to the other side is actually how you get to the beginning of the little arc that is Yosemite Village. There is a row of porta potties behind that village store, and then from there you would head on over to Degenans Kitchen. In front of Degenans Kitchen there is another bus stop for you, as well as even more seating, and you don't have to have had lunch from Degenans Kitchen to use that seating. Inside of Degenans Kitchen there's some more seating and some really lovely fireplaces, as well as a great selection of food, from sandwiches to soups, and there's even a little Pete's coffee shop inside. While this Pete's coffee shop doesn't offer as much as the Curry Village Pete's coffee, it is great for some pretty basic stuff. I always like to get the caramel macchiato there. The cheapest thing that you can buy here is the bagel with cream cheese. I recommend that if you're on a budget, because some of the items here can run pretty expensive. From there, it's just a short walk over to the post office with its iconic stone building. This is a historic post office, of course, and this is where you would want to mail out your postcards. Next to that, we'll move on to the wildlife permits office. Here you can get your permits for hiking Half Dome, for going back into the backcountry, and just asking general questions like what hikes are open, and just getting some really good information, especially if you're headed to the backcountry. You can also rent bear canisters for going into that backcountry as well. Please remember to be prepared before you show up to Yosemite. Most permits, they're either a lottery or you had to have reserved them online through recreation.gov. So please make sure you looked into that far in advance to showing up to Yosemite, because it's very unlikely you'll get any day of permits, especially in the peak season this summer. Next to that, we have the iconic Ansel Gallery, where you can find very unique souvenirs from artists, and as well you can find some supplies for photography. I always send people here for batteries. If like your headlamp is out of batteries, this is a good place to buy them. There's also some really pretty jewelry, handmade jewelry, very beautiful, and just the staff there are very friendly and nice. There is, of course, a lot of wonderful art there at the Ansel Gallery. You might pay a pretty penny for the art, but boy, is it worth it. There are some very famous people in that gallery, as well as just some really cool up-and-coming artists that you can just view or buy if you are struck by how wonderful the art is. Moving on from there, we're gonna go ahead and look at the visitor center. Right now, summer 2023, half of the visitor center is closed. After our ridiculous winter storms just a few months ago, just in March and February, we did have the roof collapse in, and we also, this is kind of gross, but a lot of mold got into some of the displays back there, so it's just not open for the public to view. They're doing a lot of renovations on it since it was pretty much destroyed in that storm. The half of the visitor center that is open, this is a great place to get any information you could possibly imagine asking for, and there is also the Conservancy bookstore. Here there's not only books but some fun souvenirs as well. Out front there is a water fountain, and next door is the bathroom if you are looking for that. In front of the visitor center there's also another bus stop, so just be aware of that. The next thing we would want to look at, and it's right next to the visitor center, is the museum. You can either exit the visitor center through the back to get to the Indian Village, or you can also enter the museum from the front. It's right next door to the visitor center. Next to the Indian Village, there's also the movie theater if you wanted to watch the Welcome to Yosemite 30-minute showing. That showing only runs as long as the visitor center is open, which is from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The museum is a great way to learn more about the 7 associated tribes of Yosemite, as well just to learn the history of how Yosemite came to be and what it meant for the native people. Right next door to the museum is the Yosemite Cemetery. A lot of huge figureheads of Yosemite are buried here, and there's a lot of good history to learn here just walking around the cemetery as well. Well, that pretty much completes the arc that is Yosemite Village. From there you can walk pretty quickly to Yosemite Falls or Cook's Meadow, and you can also access the lodge if you just keep following that pathway there. Everything else that's around Yosemite Village or behind the village is most likely housing for employees, so please don't venture outside of that arc. If you found any of this information that I shared with you today useful, please subscribe or like. It really helps me out, and I'm really happy that I got to share all of these insider tips with you guys, and I hope that you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching!